What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Psybient, and specifically some more Zymosis. And we're going to listen to a tune from his 2024 album Memento on Sentimony Records, which was actually the first track I used in my most recent Ambient Excursion set, which was Mysterious Connection, and that is a tune called Return to the Path. Now, I don't know if there's any meta meaning behind the title. It could just be the idea of the sonics representing a return to a musical path or a return to a path in a sort of psychological or philosophical sense. But yes, ultimately it was his first album in 4 years. I think his previous album was 2020, so I don't know if it could be in relation to his coming back to make music again. And as I said in previous reactions for Zymosis, he's an artist from Ukraine, I think specifically Kiev. And in fact, I did look up, this is on Sentimony Records, it was a record label based in Kiev, and then in 2019 they relocated to Riga, Latvia, so I'm not sure, the reasoning behind that. Nevertheless, I do think they have only a few releases in the last few years, and I think this is the most recent release. But yes, it's an amazing tune, and maybe the title could be related to the fact that you hear at a couple points in the track this old school vinyl record. It's almost like it has surface noise intentionally, and there's an old chime type melody that sounds a bit warped, a bit distorted, as if it's on a warped record. But then of course there are also mechanical, dynamic, and very energetic down-tempo breaks, so it feels like a tune that has a old school meets new school type of feel. In any case, it's just another example of why Zymosis is one of the best in the field. Let's give it a listen. This is Zymosis. The track is Return to the Path from his 2024 album Memento on Sentimony Records. bass line. What do you say? It's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I did want to mention, I looked up on Discogs to confirm if that was a cello in there, and it was, and it's not the only track on this album with a cello accompaniment or addition, and the cello was apparently played by Dima Kononova, so shout out to Dima Kononova. And yeah, ultimately, again, it's like this space traveling meets wicked gothic. It's the second track I've reacted to tonight, in fact, which has a bit space travel and a bit Transylvania in video game terms. It's like if you took Castlevania soundtrack and Star Control 2 and put them together. And yeah, I really love it. It's more percussive and breakbeat, you almost want to like do some pop locking to it. It's more in that vein than most tracks I can think of by Zymosis, which tend to have this sweep, and they do have percussion, but they tend to be more like down-tempo syncopated and more, again, like flowing and sweeping, whereas this one has a lot of frenetic mechanical sort of energy. I absolutely love it. But as I said, I particularly love that drop where it's really in this warped record with surface noise, old school, almost like 19th century, again, like gothic sonics, and then it sort of pulls everything out, stretches it, and boom, it hits you with the electromechanical spaceship technology, fast-paced breakbeat. So yeah, I think that's a really great moment. And just the tune overall, all the different melodic runs, those keyboard lines, and as I said, that the cello, which has some distortion or effects on it, just really, really great. The whole album's excellent, as is his 2020 album, neither of which I had used in any of my Psybient or ambient excursion mixes before the last one, so believe me, there is plenty Zymosis and some other Psybient that I got pretty recently coming in successive or subsequent ambient excursions, so we'll hope to get the next one of those coming soon. Let me know what you think of this. Once again, big shout out to Zymosis, big shout out to Centimony Records. Keep the Psybient coming. I've mentioned it before, I listen to a lot of different genres of electronic music, genres like acid trance and goa trance and hardcore. Going back to the mid-90s when I first got into the rave scene, Psybient was a more recent discovery with a slight asterisk, meaning astral projection on their classic 90s albums, they'd usually have one or two tracks at the end of the album that were like down-tempo Psybient. But at that point it was just like, oh, that's a really interesting like companion piece to the rest of the album. It wasn't like a genre that I was thinking of. And then, as I said, mid to late 2000s, I started to discover that, wait, this is a thing? Like, people make psychedelic ambient and downtempo? Incredible. And since I've discovered it as a genre, Zymosis remains one of my very favorite artists. So, anyway, let me know what you think of this awesome tune. As I said, I'll be back with more Zymosis, both in my mixes and in more reactions. And I will see you then. Peace.